Good evening, good morning and good day to whoever might be watching this. My name is Scott Tiller. I'm from the Gunpla network, and you will probably know me from a little bit of moderating around the Facebook group, and you probably know me if you have read my articles, the Not Exactly New type articles. Thanks for all the feedback. Thanks for all the comments. It's been really great to just share how I felt as a noob coming into the hobby. And I sort of spoke to Danik, and he's been our courageous leader. He's been brave enough to allow me to take this into a video format. And not exactly a new type, for me, it was always about, those people that can achieve something just a little better than the rest of us. And I'm about builders, and I'm about the people behind the building. So for this first episode, I've drummed up an interview with a young man by the name of James De Niese. And James is with us now. So how you going there, James?
Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How's things? How's your day been?
Yeah, work. Home now.
Work. Oh yeah. So you do work.
Oh yes, a lot.
Even though you put out these dioramas are like the size of this room, you still manage to actually go to work and make a living.
Exactly.
It's insane. Okay, well, look, I'd like to know a little bit about the people that are the builders. Like we see all your work, and we can totally appreciate all the time that you put into building. So this tells a bit about, I'd like to know, how old you are, the sort of things that you do, what your profession is, and maybe the little bit of information about when you grew up. What is it that you think kind of got you into Gunpla? Because the world can take us down so many different paths. So tell us a bit about yourself, James.
So I'm currently 33. I'm a draftsman by trade, so I design shops, turn it in architects' plans into working drawings. Now, I grew up a relatively relaxed childhood. I was always into arts at school. I was a skateboarding punk rock kid.
Sweet.
Didn't really, in my teenage years, I built a lot of Warhammer, and I did a little bit of modelling through that. That I pretty much dropped and didn't touch any models till I hit about 27.
Right.
So, from 15 to 27, it was playing in bands, going to shows, skateboarding, a lot of drinking, the usual.
Yeah, right.
But then, when I was about 27-ish, I watched an episode of Build Fighters Try. I saw on, because I've always watched a lot of anime, and saw the advertisements for the model kits, and saw that and went, wow. I remember building a few models as a kid. That looks really cool. So I jumped on the internet and ordered my first Gunpla kit, which was the Victory Gundam High Grade, just a really small little one. As soon as that got delivered, I built that within a few hours and went straight back to eBay. Bought more, and it just developed and snowballed from there till here I am today.
It's the same for everybody, isn't it? I can speak from my own experience, was that I kind of watched a bit, as in on Instagram and things like that. I got a buddy who has got a couple and stuff, and I was like, this is pretty good. Always wanted to get into kind of building fighting robots, but the Robotech and stuff, it's all a bit too military. I want something that's a little less kind of aggro, a bit more colour. I bought the G04 or something MG from down the road, and I took it. This was a day before Christmas. I took it home, and I had to go to my parents-in-law for Christmas. I hadn't even started that one, and I was sitting at the kitchen table on Christmas night ordering more. I ordered Shazam or something I didn't even start. It's not if every single person. As soon as you got it, it just gets in your veins, and it just goes ballistic. Hey,
yeah, definitely.
So you did a bit of Warhammer painting. Do you think those sort of early days with the brushwork and that, do you think that has influenced your style of building?
Not particularly. When I was a kid, I was a terrible painter. If I dig out some of my old Warhammer miniatures that have been lying around from when I was 15, they're pretty bad. But as a kid, I built a few model kits with my old man. I remember he bought me this balsa wood plane that you put together, and you'd coated all the outside in tissue paper with DOP it tightened up, and it had a propeller so you could wind it up and it would fly, which was really cool. And my old man gave me a lot of little army guys and tanks and stuff that I painted as a kid. Built a few model planes, but this is all pre-15. And then,
so it's no surprise that you're into dios, and if your dad was giving you all this stuff, like it's what you got. I'll also note that, like, when you said you're a draftsman, you know, there's got to be a level of sort of detail and specificity that you're after when you almost, because you're probably a very visual person. You know, someone gives you this, and then you're like, all right, it's going to look like that. So it's got to be easy for you to walk into a room full of, you know, a pile of kits and some plywood and some whatever it is you use to make bloody trees and go, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I've got a plan. And that's probably the biggest challenge with a dio is, where do I need to end up? And obviously it's going to evolve, but you must have such a solid idea of where you're going.
With most of my dios, I will start with a simple idea. So, I mean, with my last year's waterfall Zagok diorama I built, I went, before I started, I'm like, all right, I'm doing the Zagok. I want to do a kit in deep water, maybe a waterfall, hidden base behind the waterfall would be cool, and just go from there. So I pretty much built the Zagok, roughly sketched out what I wanted to make, and with the Zagok build, it's just layer foam and sort of start building and slapping things together till you sort of, once you get the base structure, then it's adding all the little details. That's the really fun part.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, you and I were chatting before, and you said something like, in the Zagok, which is, you know, like it's not the biggest dio, like it looks big and it's so detailed, but you said there's quite a number of miniature figures amongst that dio?
Yes. So there's 13 of the 1 to 144 little people I've painted and hidden around the entire diorama.
I know of 2. I can see the one through the waterfall, and I assume there's one piloting the Zagok. So I've got 11 to find. It's like a Where's Wally type thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, they're all scattered in places they'd be. There's a couple that are hidden. That you wouldn't really notice unless you went looking for them.
You'd have to be like this big and actually walk inside and go, hey, there he is.
But it's like, the thing I really like about doing dioramas like this is it's telling as many little stories in one big story as possible.
Yeah.
So, for example, in that diorama, I've got all the Xeon forces moving out, but then in the very top of the diorama, there's a little Earth Federation pilot figure painted, hiding, peering over the bushes.
Oh, right.
So in my mind, he's like discovered that now. He's got to get back and warn the Earth Federation that
before they all kind of bug out and stuff. Yeah. Well, since we're talking about, let's you've got a few photos there of your dios, like going back a bit and working through. You have taken some silverware at GBWC. So have you got those photos there that we can have a look at?
Which ones do you want to start with?
Well, let's go back to your first dio, the one that the one that comped way back, and let's go through that. So I'm going to give you our patience, everybody. This is our first legit screen share, so we'll do what we can. I'll hand this over to James. Okay.
Right,
yeah, right. So
hold on. Is that big enough?
Yeah, that's fine. We can go through them. There's a few other close-ups as well that gives you a good idea of what's going on. Yeah.
All right, so this was the first diorama I ever built. I wanted to, it was for Gunpla Builders Australia's Facebook page Wing It Challenge. So the RG wing had just been released. So, of course, they wanted to do a challenge for it.
Yeah.
So this was my first ever attempt at doing weathering, battle damage. I did LED work in it as well.
The ground, the sand looks insane. Like, it looks like if you tipped it up, it'd all just sort of pour off. Like I'm sure it was a bit messy, but I'm sure it's not quite as messy as I describe it.
No, so it wasn't too bad. I've learnt a lot from this, and I mean, if I did this again now, it would be 1,000 times different. But with this, I was trying to replicate the what do you call it? The scene from the the anime where like he wakes up underwater, all destroyed right before he flies up into the air and blows himself up and such. So,
I'm not familiar with this. I might have to go and watch it. It sounds pretty good.
So I like found a lot of screenshots from the show and tried to replicate as much of the damage from the show as I could into this kit. I think I've got some extra close-ups. So using like soldering irons to do all the battle damage. A lot of stabby. Yeah, pretty much. Putting LEDs in an RG is an interesting experience.
Yeah, I bet.
So all the wires run up through the arm, through the chest and head, and then actually the piping along the back of the wings, the wires end up coming through the wings, down through the wings into the base and out the bottom. So it's just a way
what I love the most about all that is like the way on some angles you can see, like there's another angle I've seen of it where the arm glow, the arm light sort of glows up under the wings. You know, it just gives it almost like an aura. It's unreal.
So that was the first. I got the best newcomer award. So this was probably I think around November 2014.
Right.
Off the top of my head. So I'd been probably building for 5 months at this stage, 6 months.
Wowzers.
So pretty much after I snap built a few kits, I went and bought an airbrush. This was probably one of my first airbrush kits too. I bought one pretty early and just went to town and tried to learn.
Sure. So yeah, what else you got there? There's one or two I'm very keen to see that I know you've got there.
Well, then
try not to squeal.
Yeah, the next one to touch on was, well, we're now hitting the next few. I've got to roll my GBC entries over the last few years.
Yeah.
So the next one is the one that almost made me quit building Gunpla.
Yeah, look, and I read a post of yours on Instagram. Someone said something like, around your current one, and kind of what got my attention was that you'd said that at one stage I built something and I put so much into it for maybe the wrong reasons that I almost never built again, and I wasn't aware. And then when we discussed it, it must come to everyone. It's almost like a writer's block. I think people just get overloaded. So yeah, tell us a bit about this one.
All right, so with this entry, I've always like the Goof Custom. It is also the first and probably last master grade I've ever worked on.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of master grades, but this kit was built for GBWC for the purpose of trying to do really well. Yeah. And it was the first GBWC I'd ever entered, and I went, all right, I want to do really well at this. So I'm going to take a kit, I'm going to scratch build new parts, like all the side skirts, the shoulders are all modified, metal parts.
You got some other pictures you can flick through while you're telling me this?
Oh, sorry, all scribing, tried weathering, but when I was building this, I did the chest and I was happy. I did the head and shoulders and I was really enjoying it. And then the waist and side skirts started to defeat me a bit, and I wasn't happy with how they were looking. They were too chunky. The legs were too wide. I had a lot of bits that kept falling off and not gluing together well. And as I was doing that, I scratch built the barrels of the gun as well. But as I was doing it all, I ended up hating it. And I spent so much time working on it that I ended up throwing it in a box and just not touching it for 3 or 4 months. And then with GBWC fast approaching, I was like, oh, all right, I've got to get this done. I want to enter something. I'm not going to just give up and not do it. So in the end, I just rushed it, painted it really fast. There's a lot of really bad marks and gouges on the kit. A lot of things aren't cleaned up very well. The paint job's really sloppy.
We call it weathering, mate. It's okay.
Yeah. So and then I didn't have fun when it got to GBWC. I wasn't happy with it. I still look at it now and I still keep it on my shelf above where I build to remind me this was built for all the wrong reasons. So they're the only photos I've got of this kicking around still. But this was built for all the wrong reasons, and like it's probably not the best idea to do a kit like that, because GBWC, it's about having fun, putting on a work you're happy with. And I mean, the model I built after this, the Zagok Waterfall, that was built not even for GBWC. That was just built for me having fun and trying something new, doing what I wanted. And the fact that it came second was just a really cool bonus.
Yeah, let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at the Zagok.
So we shall move to that. So, we'll start with.
Because I would like to talk to you about sort of GBWC and
Yes, definitely.
Because with that, just 2 weeks around the, it's just around the corner. So yeah, this guy here. Let's talk about this.
All right.
And you can just see the difference in detail and technique. And I'm a new guy, but I can see something that's beautiful. Like you said to me before, the goof was kind of like I just smashed it out. But in actual fact, you can look at this and you can go, now this is something special.
Yeah, thanks, man. So this one was, as we were saying before, I wanted to try deep water, which was resin. I wanted to try waterfalls. I always did like the jungle scene, hence the reason I went for a green mobile suit and painted it up in the green colors, and forest. So pretty much I had a lot of drama building this too, and I had probably way more problems building this than I had building the Zagok. Sorry, not the Zagok, the goof. So the first one I made, so this is actually the second edition of this model. The first one I made, when I was pouring the resin, I accidentally poured it too deep and too fast, and it got too hot and it melted the model, it cracked the resin. So in the end, I had to cut the top half of the diorama off, throw the bottom half out, rebuild the model, rebuild the bottom half of the diorama where I re-glued the top section on, and pretty much start from scratch. And it wasn't that long before GBWC that it all happened as well. So it was good. Resin is very hard to work with, but it gives you amazing results. So just, I like the clarity, so you can see the foot through the water, which I wanted the front window.
It's got that milkiness. Anybody that's been to a river in a rock formation with ferns, like it's exactly that. You expect to see like a catfish or an eel to swim between his legs. It's just
the only thing I was planning on doing that didn't happen on the first diorama, I actually had blue LEDs at the back of the water, right at the bottom, which actually made the resin glow blue, which looked really cool. But I actually ran out of blue LEDs by the time I came to do the second time.
There's a funny thing going on in my head that I can see a model with like an LED in there with a power source, and then I see water, and there's a little thing in my head that keeps going, like, you don't want to get the LED wet, dude, because it's so watery, but then it all works out, and I like, it's a model. It's so convincing, it's unreal.
So like all the leaves were cut on. I have a small desktop laser cutter at home, so they were just quickly made up in like Illustrator, just the shape, and it was all cut out of individual bits of paper and then painted and glued to wire. So here's one of your
little people.
Yeah, so he's lifting up a cover, and there's a ladder that runs down the side of the diorama as well. So we'll go to the side. So there's the ladder running down the side, and there's like a couple soldiers and person climbing up the ladder in there. So yeah, like this was a very good learning, and this was, as I was saying, was built purely for my own enjoyment. I just wanted to experiment with new things. So there's the Earth Federation pilot hiding off in the bushes.
Luke Skywalker hanging out, sussing out what the Empire's up to, sort of thing.
So like the thing I found with this is I'd never done resin before this one model. I'd never used static grasses. I'd never done laser cut trees. This was all a lot of firsts in one model kit. Like I just wanted to try as many new techniques as possible. Hence, like I much prefer the diorama than the model kit itself.
Yeah,
As weird as that may sound.
No, it makes sense. I mean, that's part of a diorama, isn't it? It's like the kit is the star, but it needs to be convincing. The kit doesn't work unless everything around it's convincing.
So, yeah, like I'll put in as many models as I can, but building, I mean, this one wasn't as diorama intensive as my current build, obviously, but yeah, it was just trying new trees, like building everything and just like slowly picking and choosing where you're placing everything, because trying to avoid putting leaves in patterns because you want it to look more random.
Yeah.
And
this is the one you got second for this. What year was that?
This was 2017, so last year.
Wow, yeah.
So I was blown away by that. I rocked up not expecting to. Well, when I got there, I'm like, oh, no, it's not going to win. It's not going to do anything. Like, doesn't matter. Like, whatever. I want it. Like, don't get me wrong. Everyone wants to win.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun.
Right. Yeah.
And to get second off this, I was blown away. Now I have a nice shiny trophy, which is cool. Hopefully I can add again to it this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess it's that whole sort of like if you chase a butterfly, it flies off, but if you just sit still, it'll come and land on your shoulder. That's some old proverb, and that's kind of what you did. You were like, all right, let's just enjoy it. Okay, well, let's move on to 2018. So
2018. So this is.
So let's just talk about it for a couple of minutes, because I don't want to spoil it too much, because I'd like people that are going to make it to GBWC 2018 Australia to see it for themselves. So let's have a bit of a quick squiz at it.
Yep. So this is the first final photos I've taken of it. So this is an exclusive first look.
Wow, awesome. Anybody that's followed you on Instagram or
has seen 90% of this already anyway.
Grow from, it's just so busy.
So I started this, just before Christmas 2017. It's taken me a good 6 months to finally get to the point where I'm at now, and more than happy with it.
So you're saying you started this like just before last Christmas?
Just before last Christmas.
Fair income.
So it didn't originally intend on being this big.
Right.
Originally I just started because I'm like, I did nature last year with the waterfall and forest. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I sort of want to do everything in one diorama that I know how to do. Yeah. But I originally started off with, I'd love to make a hangar scene. So because I need to make a hangar scene, this is what I pretty much envisioned. So I wanted to put as many details as possible into it as I could. I just wanted a couple Zakus because, once again, I keep building Xeon kits and I can't help it. I've got plenty of
just for scale perspective, these are all HGs, are they? 1/144?
So these are both, RGs, so 1 to 144s.
They're RG kits.
Yeah, they're both, the up to RG Zakus.
Okay, cheap,
Well, to be fair, these didn't actually cost me anything.
Oh, okay then.
These were one back in the when they did the mid-year campaigns. So you bought a kit and you got like a ticket, and you'd put in a code and you could win different sets of kits. So I happened to actually win all the RGs.
Yeah, cool.
So these have been all sitting in my backlog. So I was like, yep, sweet. I'll put these two in. I just want and after I built the underground base, I'm like, well, it's an underground base. There's got to be something above it, right?
Yeah,
which led me to build the forest above. So we'll just like stick underground. So it's a lot of the plastic is store bought. Like I haven't 100%, like all the railings and the ladders were store bought, like plastic extrusions you can get.
Oh, like some like HO scale or something.
Yeah, like train scale stuff.
Yeah.
It's like most of the ladders and the railings are all N scale. Because it's 1 to 144, you got to take what you can get. But
I tried to buy some. I've got a GM Sniper 2 in a paddock, and trees are okay, but I wanted some cows, and they're like, I think it's 160. Other way around, they're like it's just not quite right.
Yeah,
186 or something, and the cows just look like very healthy cows. But it's a funny scale, isn't it? Yeah, so
Yeah, that's to say. So like that's why with I Plustruct, I think, is the brand that makes the ladders, and they actually do a few things in 1 to 140 scale, 1 to 144 scale, which is nice. But most of like the fences and all the fencing at the bottom of the ladder is all scratch built. All the walls, everything on the walls, the weapons racks, if I can. So looking at the railing that's holding the thing up was all scratch built and painted and weathered. Once again, as many LEDs. I think there's 42 LEDs in this whole diorama.
All right, James. Yeah, so this is above ground. That's looking down. So look, this is pretty amazing, isn't it? There's a lot of lighting in there too, I notice.
Yes. So there's 42 LEDs through the whole diorama, from street lights to lift warning lights to the exhausts
some guy with a cigarette over in the corner.
If I can work out how to make an LED that small, I will.
Yeah. So how are you going to power all these? Have you worked out that you run an extension cord when you get there, or what?
So I've got two ways of powering this diorama. It has the ability for a standard like DC jack.
Oh yeah.
Whereas for the competition at GBWC, you don't have access to mains power.
Right.
So I've got two 12-volt, 7-amp-hour bricks of a batteries.
Yeah.
Wide in parallel, so it's 14 amp hours of 12-volt power.
Nice.
So I did a test running the battery life, and that lasts 4 days straight, and it was still going by the time I turned it off, and it dropped down to about 9 volts. So it would still keep going for probably another day.
Yeah,
that's
okay,
more than I need.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of wiring. I don't think there might be.
How does it transport?
I have built a custom MDF big box with handles and clips and
just a big case, and you just pop the sides on the top, and
it weighs a lot. Especially with the batteries in there. It's extremely heavy. So, but it's with dioramas like this. It's, as I was saying, it's all about the little details. So looking at this image, because it's a forest base, it's set deep in the forest, so as you can see there's a pig pen off in the background there, and a cornfield and cabbages, and that's because the base has to be self-sufficient in my mind. Yeah, of course. So they're breeding their own pigs for food, corn and cabbage and stuff for food. It's little details like this I really enjoy doing. Trying to put as many little things hidden around the diorama as possible really interests me.
That's great. Man, you've just put so much into that. So much. All right.
Just a little bit.
Might just go look at how to. Cancel. There he is. Okay, cool. Wow. So, look, it's a lot of things have changed for you, I guess, from that goof that kind of nearly broke your back, broke your will, and then to pick yourself back up, and then the ZGOC, which I guess in reality, like if you hadn't have got, I mean, tell us about the change in attitude, when you just went back and just hit the ZGOC, and I guess here's an opportunity to sort of give us all a bit of an insight into Gunpla for you. Like you said, everybody likes to win.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like everybody wants to win, but it's not everything, is it? It's not.
No, definitely not. Well, with the goof at the GBWC 2016, I got probably the best advice I ever got off anyone, and one of the judges came up to me and I was like, yep, sweet, can you run through the goof and tell me what I did wrong, tell me what I did right, the usual, like trying to get a bit of more information. And he's turned to me and he's like, gone, look, your models look fine, but it's boring. Like, people sort of will see it and just keep walking. It's blue and grey. There's nothing that catches your eye. It's not very like, wow, here you go. You want people to stop and look at your model for as long as possible. And that last sentence has stuck with me forever. And now I build things and it's like, how can I make someone stop and look as long as possible? Hence the reason I put so much stuff in my diet. Yeah. So I just went, I want to hold your attention for as long as possible. Like with my current diorama, my goal was 1, put everything I know in modeling. 2, how can I make you stop at mine at it longer than anyone else's at the competition? But if it wasn't for like, that was just the advice I build by now. But what kept picked me back up and got me back into it was Facebook groups and people online, people at local build meets I'd go to, and the amount of encouragement I was given. They're like, pick yourself up, just start building to have fun. So I'd enter friendly competitions online, not really caring if I win or not. I've learned if you really want to win and you're going to win, and then you don't, it can destroy you. Yeah. Or if you really want to win and you're trying to win, it can just make you hate the hobby, because at the end of the day, we're building for fun. And if you're not enjoying it and you're building solely to win, like I was with the goof, it's going to probably turn out terrible. You won't have fun. And then why are you doing this hobby?
And that's what the key term there is hobby. Like every other moment of our life is like super serious, and we've got to be adults and we've got bosses and wives and husbands or whatever, you know. So this is our opportunity to just sort of disappear and relax. And and we all do it, like even with our own little projects. I mean, that Zavi back there, like that thing has been on my shoulder for like 3 or 4 weeks. Like there's heaps of RGs and HGs and stuff up there that I could smash them out and still have a really good time with them.
Yeah, but definitely.
And like, today was the first day I woke up and didn't think there's a Sazabi in pieces all over my bench. And it was such a weird feeling, and it is achievement. Like when I see someone who does like a really magic candy Sazabi, I'm like, oh my God, it's almost like I get like a cold sweat. but at the same time, I can't believe people can do so much to those kits, because they really are amazing. So, and that's what blows me away with your stuff. Like that dio, you say 6 months. Like you must just be thinking about it all the time, or you able to just kind of like put it away, come home 3 or 4 hours each night, just chip away, because you've now found that mindset where I'm doing it because I love it, or does it still kind of weigh on your shoulders a bit?
No, the good thing about how I build these days is it's not work, it's fun. Like to me, a diorama, I can sit there and I'll be at work and I'll be thinking about the diorama while I'm at work, but going, oh, you know what if I add like these trees here, or maybe I could build the trees this way and it would look like this. And I just have like ideas constantly kicking.
And the other voice is saying, shut up, I don't need any more work. And you're like, oh, that's be great.
Yeah, I do that to myself a lot, and it's like, yep, I'm almost done. Oh, but I should just add this in here, and next thing you know, you've built a forest above a bloody underground base. But like the way I see it, like I have so much fun. I can sit down and just get into the zone and start building and playing with like tiny little trees and little details. I find extremely enjoyable. Like I used to play a lot of video games. Now I barely do that because I want to get home and take that to the next level and just try something else. It's never work for me. The minute I start feeling like buildings work, I just stop, and that's when I'll go sit down and like I'll go skateboarding, or I'll play a video game, or like try to play some music, or just do anything that's not building, because when you build while you're not into it, it just doesn't work well. Yeah.
Look, I think there was one thing when you and I chatted previously, and we're going to kind of wrap it up here. But one thing that you and I had spoken about was a statement that you made, which I think I actually personally took on board and thought, you know what, it's such a good thing. Because I've had my own like ups and downs where, like in the first 6 months, and the problem with Gunpla, like obviously Gunpla Network I'm involved with, GBA, Gunpla Australia, and my local Brisbane group, they're all just like fantastic people. There's like barely ever a person you think, honestly, and then when they do it, often it's just lost in translation because it's a keyboard. But I kind of went through a stage where like I was just punching stuff out and everybody's like, that's awesome. And it's like, and they're saying it because they're nice people and that's great. But one thing that you said the other day was, what have you got if the internet goes down?
Yeah.
And that for me is a semi sort of profound thing to say. Like, if I had no Instagram to go, look what I just put clear code on, or I had no 4 groups or 5 groups to post the elbow of my Sazabi, like, would I still do it? That's the key for me. So, you know, I appreciate that sentiment that you had.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who sees your kits when you get home. Everyone might see,
which is why I'm so lazy, because it's why I'm so lazy, because like over there like that, I can walk past it, I'm like, how rad are they? They're covered in nubs and there's not a seam done in that whole game. But it doesn't matter, it gets me through. Like
it's fun. Like the whole point is fun. At the end of the day, you're the one that's seeing it. Everyone else sees it maybe once or twice and then moves on to the next thing. Whereas like everyone, like I see, I've still got all my kits on display, and I'm happy. I get home, I look at it and go, that taught me this, that taught me this. I had fun doing this, and that's what this hobby is all about.
Isn't it funny when you do something and like for that kind of like when it's done and you spend about a day just going, oh, it's so gorgeous, and then like you open the box and it might as well have been like thrown in the bin because 48 hours later they're like, that's so gorgeous. You feel so, and you have to go back and just kind of move them around. I still love you. It's okay.
Well, that's the slight problem for me. It's 6 months in between those times.
Yeah. Well, you're nice and loyal at least for 6 months at a time. That's good. All right. Well, look, GBWC is like literally weeks away as we speak, mate. I know that you go into it with a good spirit, but I wish you the best because you really do put much heart and soul. I really do wish you the best. Maybe after we'll get together and I think what happens at the after party stays at the after party.
Yeah, sort of.
But look, there should be some good stories. I'm really looking forward to meeting a few people that I know that the name and the work of, and it's just going to be a fantastic weekend. So I really do wish you all the best along with everybody else. And just give us a couple of plugs on where we can find you. I think your Instagram is probably your most active platform. So
it's just Nozaku Boy on Instagram. Facebook, same name, Nozaku Boy. YouTube, once I get a computer again, I'll hopefully start recording more tutorials, but I haven't done that since the start of the year. Pretty much just search Nozaku Boy and I should appear.
All right, no worries. Look, thank you so much for your time tonight, James. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And so 2 weeks from now, hey, I'll be cheersing you. You'll be drinking out of some big shiny cup, I hope.
Thank you, Scott, mate.
All right, mate. No worries. We'll be in touch soon.
All right, too easy.
All right. Thanks, brother. Bye.
Bye.